Hi, I'm Jim.
And I'm Emily.
And we are a relationship, sex, and intimacy coaching team.
Where we help couples and singles over 40 develop thriving and nourishing relationships.
So we've mentioned the internal family systems, or IFS, as one of the modalities that we use in our coaching, and we want to tell you a little bit more about that now.
Internal family systems, IFS for short, was developed by Dr. Richard Schwartz over 30 years ago. So it's a healing model, permanent emotional healing. It's evidence-based, which means this stuff works. And then it's also a self-awareness model. And what this means is that there's a higher self within all of us, and there are also parts of us. And parts are behaviors, thoughts, and emotions that can go wonky, such as you have an angry outburst, and then a couple hours later or the next day you regret it. You're like, who was that showed up?
Who hasn't had that happen, right? Oh my, I wish I hadn't said that, or I wish I hadn't done that. Those kind of regrets are the hallmark of parts that are active inside us. So this model, which is really helpful in terms of having a deeper understanding of what's going on inside us, this model says that we have our higher self, which is our spirit or our
soul.
Buddha self, our soul. There's lots of ways that people talk about our higher self in modern society. But it's that higher self that sits above the collection of parts that basically make up who we are. These are the components of our personality. They represent the history of our experiences. All of that is embodied in our parts. And they operate with emotion, with strategies on how to deal with problems. They can operate out of fear, and they bring us to a point where we are today, having successfully navigated life up to this point. But sometimes they can be a problem.
Yeah, and they get in the way of a great relationship. So think about relationship where you've had, like, you're naming their parts, like, oh my gosh, he's so controlling, he's so self-centered, he's such a perfectionist, or she's so
shut
angry,
down. She's unable to engage, or
she's so shy,
she's so boisterous or dominant, or wants attention all the time. There's so many different ways that our parts show up. It's a bit of a light bulb moment when we start to really understand why. Because a lot of us know that we do these things, we just don't quite understand why. And the IFS healing model really helps us gain the insight into what's really going on. And once we have that insight, it opens the door to the process of healing those wounds that can be from childhood or from early adult relationships that we've carried forward into this moment. So once we have the opportunity to really look at the motivations and what's really going on for these parts, we have the chance to really heal them.
Yeah, and when you heal those little girls or little boys inside of you, that is when these negative characteristics people name, such as you're so controlling, you're such a perfectionist, or even the part that is too shy to be more expressive in the bedroom, or the part that loves to eat too much, to keep too much weight on, or the angry part. When you heal the inner child parts, this is when these behaviors and thoughts and emotions that are in extreme and you don't like these parts can finally relax or transform into new parts altogether, so that you can show up as the best of who you are in all of your relationships, especially in your romantic relationship.
Yeah, there's nothing more wonderful than being able to transform your character flaws into strengths. And that's really what this allows us to do with our clients. And by the way, we use this in our own relationship. Day to day, week to week, Emily and I are constantly working with each other and our parts.
Yeah, and we're constantly having difficult conversations because we know that when certain things happen...
It's not because our relationship is difficult, it's just that these things come up.
Over burnt bacon and pancakes.
Exactly, that's a good example.
Yes, and we're going to have many videos talking about each of these difficult conversations we've had and why it happened, and what were the triggering moments that led us to have this little hiccup, and how we navigated it, because We do not sweep anything under the rug. Jim can sense my energy change in a second.
Yeah, and we talk about it, right?
Yeah,
And
so that
these
we can overcome it.
Right, these are not easy things to talk about, but we've gotten to the point now where we've done this enough times, we've developed the muscle, we've developed the habit, that we know that we're going to get our way through it. Even though it's a difficult conversation, we know we're going to be able to navigate it because we've navigated it so many times already.
Yes, and that's why we love coaching the couples, because we know what we need to teach them in order for them to navigate these difficult conversations themselves.
Exactly.
So first and foremost, you have to do the work to heal the inner child parts that are driving the hiccups, and which is, you know, what we have individually done to heal our parts from childhood and be able to speak for these tender parts of us that are you know, front and center, that drives who we are, and then we use this internal family systems framework to talk about these parts. So this is what we teach you, so that you can be more vulnerable and share your experiences and not hide anything from your partner. And that's why we love doing this work, because we live this intimacy that we talk about, and we're here to guide you and or your partner to reach that same state of ecstatic experiences on so many different dimensions. Not only physically, you know, with ecstatic sexual experiences, but also that emotional connection that so many of us crave, and intellectual connection, and just that spiritual connection of seeing each other through our eyes into the souls, and that's really the
It's profound.
profound relationship that all of us are seeking.
It's spiritual, it's transcendent.